Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today in this video, I'm going to do a JxmyHighroller reaction. Wasn't supposed to end like this. Curious what he has to say about it. The NBA Finals may end today, so this may resonate even more. But hey, for more content like this, make sure to like this video and let's hop right into this thing. These some interesting takes.
Can you say something nice about the Celtics?
Absolutely not.
The Celtics.
Dang.
Just go home, get the ammo ready, get the bazooka, get the 50 cal ready.
It's the NBA Finals, and you know what that means. A new champion will be crowned. Legacies will be cemented. The torch passed from one team to another, and some of the most scorching hot takes you've ever laid eyes on. Today, we're going to take a look at some of these takes.
Let's see,
NBA
man.
Finals edition. The good, the bad, and the downright horrific.
Arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Did you say history?
That's a hot take. Yeah,
Today's video is sponsored by Shaved Meals, the small every art meal. With 5 minutes later, you 20% gave for the last orders. So far, the 2024 NBA Finals have been a bit one-sided. And with my rotten team on vacation for the last 2 months, I unfortunately have no dog in this race.
I didn't know you were a Portland fan.
I cope by watching other fans viciously duke it out while their team fights for NBA supremacy. And almost as entertaining as the finals itself are some of the takes and opinions that emerge from said duking. And here are some of the more interesting ones I came across. Now, our first take comes from a fan that says that if the Celtics win the finals, Luka Doncic should still be considered for the finals MVP.
You don't want that.
Now, my friend, I know you're in a tough position.
You don't want
Losing
that.
in the finals is not an easy thing to go through. I mean, being a Blazers fan, I personally wouldn't know the feeling, but I assume it's got to be painful. But I do know where you're coming from, because LeBron's my favorite player, and I had to watch this. The 2015 finals. If anyone tells you basketball is a 5-on-5 sport, they're lying. Because I had to watch this man get jumped 5v1 versus one of the greatest teams in modern times.
Yeah.
With Timofey Mozgov and J.R. Smith by his side, LeBron dragged this series to 6 games while averaging 36 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists in the series. And while watching Matthew Dellavedova nearly go into cardiac arrest trying to chase Stephen Curry around for 40 minutes, many fans asked the question, even if the Cavs lose this series, should LeBron still receive finals MVP?
I was rooting for LeBron
He's
so much.
clearly the best player on the floor. The answer was no, and it will always be no. Instead, the award went to the man who was guarding LeBron. To give some perspective on how LeBron nearly single-handedly willed the Cavs to a championship in 2015, here is a breakdown of how much he was contributing to his team in that finals series. By himself, LeBron accounted for 38% of the Cavaliers' points, 56% of their assists, 28% of their rebounds, 60% of the total points generated throughout the series, and was able to win 2 games. So far in the 2024 finals, Luka single-handedly makes up for 33% of the Mavericks' points, 40% of their assists, 24% of their rebounds, and 48% of the total points generated by the team. It doesn't matter how well a player plays in the finals. You have to win it to even be considered for the finals MVP. The award is for the best player on the winning team, not just the best player in the series. And if LeBron's performance in the 2015 finals didn't warrant a finals MVP despite the loss, I'm not sure if anything ever will. Now here's a take for all the Celtics fans out there. This fan says that a championship for Boston this season would make Jason Tatum better than Paul Pierce. Now let me begin by saying Paul Pierce has become one of the most underrated stars of the past.
He's a good player.
His resume doesn't quite stack up to some of his peers of the 2000s, but Pierce was a really good player and a cornerstone to the Celtics franchise for 15 years. Some moments and opinions he's had over the last few years have kind of skewed the public's perception on him, but that doesn't change how awesome he was as a player. But with that being said, as an individual player, Jason Tatum is already better than Paul Pierce was. Tatum has a more well-rounded game. He's a much better playmaker, he's more versatile, and where Pierce really shined with his scoring and shooting ability.
Let me look at this. I'm sorry. 19 a game to 23, 7 to 5, better rebounder, about the same. Actually, the exact same assists. Yeah, it's a different era though. He probably will add a ring to that. It's a different era, right? But Jason Tatum is better than Paul Pierce. Yeah, definitely.
Tatum does even that at about the same rate and caliber. Keep in mind, Pierce did play in the slowest era in NBA history, so his numbers don't quite do him justice. Adjusted for the pace of today's NBA, his numbers would look something like this. Really similar to what we've seen from Tatum throughout his career. But overall, Tatum has already peaked higher than Pierce did. He is a far better defensive player than Pierce was, and he's more versatile on both ends of the floor. Tatum already has 10 times the MVP shares Pierce did in his 19-year career. Individually, Tatum has been good enough for long enough to say that he has a bigger impact on a game-to-game basis than Pierce did. At the moment, you can still make an argument for Pierce being the better player throughout his career, but if the Celtics win a ring this year, and especially if Jason Tatum wins a Finals MVP, then that argument no longer exists. But even without those accolades on his resume, I agree with this take. Jason Tatum is better than Paul Pierce was, and a ring this season was cemented.
For sure.
Now, this next take came live on air during the Western Conference Finals, and fans
Greatest
are interpreting it in a few different ways. In the midst of going up 3-0 on the Timberwolves, Stan Van Gundy said that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA.
They have two guys that are pretty electrifying as well.
Yeah, and Minnesota's top-rated defense is going to be challenged trying to slow them down. Arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA, and Luka Doncic and Kyrie.
Whoa!
Now, Luka and Kyrie have only played about 70 games together, and this is their first postseason playing together, and they haven't really accomplished much in the grand scheme of things, and about a million other reasons why this sounds crazy at first. But Stan wasn't implying anything about success or accomplishments, just simply as an offensive duo, Luka and Kyrie might be the best backcourt we've ever seen. And if we're just talking about offensive ability, then there really aren't many backcourts that stack up against this one. That short list may include 2018 Harden and Chris Paul, 2021 Harden and Kyrie. If we consider Luka to be a guard, then surely LeBron and Kyrie in 2017 would be considered a backcourt duo as well. Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker were pretty damn good. This fan might be onto something with his choice of the best backcourt of all time. And of course, the two elephants in the room, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. For the sake of this argument, if we ignore the accomplishments and the time these duos played together and just approach this from the aspect of offensive ability and production, then Luka and Kyrie are actually in the conversation for the best offensive backcourt in NBA history. Taking the best versions of each of these backcourts throughout the years and looking at some of their numbers like points per game, total points generated per game, this statistic factors in.
Look at Harden and Paul so high. Look at that. Combined offensive, like, bro, I'm telling you, that backcourt in 2018 was special, man.
Assist to their total offensive output, shooting efficiency, and their offensive impact through offensive estimated
look at Kyrie
plus
score more.
Then it's pretty tough to choose just one backcourt out of these five. Luka and Kyrie are the most productive, and they're just about as impactful offensively as these other backcourts. But once you factor in the shot making, scoring versatility, gravity, and all the little things that make a player special offensively that the numbers might not account for, then you could definitely make an argument that Luka and Kyrie are the most offensively talented backcourt in NBA history. Now, as to how good they are, well then if we can't use accolades and accomplishments, and this is just an eye test kind of thing, then that's pretty subjective. Steph and Klay were good enough to win 4 titles together, but I guess you could say that as a backcourt, they weren't as good at basketball as the combination of Luka and Kyrie. Harden and Kyrie were really good at basketball, but they didn't really play together all that often. And it feels a bit wrong to not at least consider that within this discussion. Once you start to factor in what these backcourts actually did together, this entire discussion changes very quickly. But in terms of exactly what Stan Van Gundy was referring to, offensive excellence, then Luka and Kyrie are in fact arguably one of the best backcourts the game has ever seen.
That's a good take.
Our next take is one of the more unhinged takes I've seen recently. Let's not sugarcoat it. Jason Tatum has underperformed a bit over the last couple weeks, and coming off the heels of a Jaylen Brown Conference Finals MVP, followed up by a lackluster start in the finals, Tatum's superstar label has been put into question. The peak of Jason Tatum propaganda? This right here. Fans claiming that Jason Tatum is an elite role player.
He's not an elite role player. He's not a superstar. He's a high-end star. He's a guy who's a perennial all-star, very, very good basketball player. He's amongst the top, probably top 10, probably 9, 10 player in the NBA. He's not a superstar, though. Superstars are different. Jokic, Curry, LeBron, KD, Kawhi before his injuries. You know, those are superstars. Harden back in the day, superstars. Jason Tatum, I mean, not there. Maybe he gets there, but he's not there yet.
LeBron James of Tobias Harris's, if you will. And this take is missing so much context that I almost want to start rooting for the Celtics purely out of spite. Since the start of the conference finals, which is when this discourse really started to gain traction, Tatum has been averaging 26 points, 7 assists, and 10 rebounds a game on 52% true shooting while winning all 6 games.
True shooting is 52% pretty bad.
Numbers
true shooting is 52. That's not good.
People are calling him a role player.
I think that's good.
In fact, there have only been 7 players in the history of the NBA to make it past the first round while averaging these numbers in a playoff run. Oscar Robertson, Larry Bird, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, and Jason Tatum. A really, really good group of elite role players. Now, I will be the first to say that Tatum has drifted into unwarranted territory over the last year or two, with some fans trying to jam him into the top 5 players in the NBA discussion when he isn't. But even when Tatum has a subpar stretch of games, or doesn't fit the typical mold of high-volume, ultra-bucket-getting superstar that we like to see, he is still one of the best players on the planet. Calling him an elite role player is hyperbole.
Yeah, he's
I
not
get
that.
that.
Yeah.
But the less brain rot version of this argument is that Jason Tatum isn't a star in this league. And this is 100% objectively wrong. There is no metric or game or series or play that you could use to make this argument. At times, I too am not a big fan of the Celtics. This, however, does not send me into psychosis claiming one of the best players in the world is a role player. This take is abysmal. But let me know what y'all think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
He's inconsistent,
and while you're at it, share your hottest take. The hotter, the better. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time.
Boston should win, and they should win the championship, have their big celebration. I don't know. The Celtics are very interesting because they're better than everybody, but they choke, though. They have choking tendencies. Maybe they don't choke, and maybe they win the game, but they have tendencies where they choke. I don't know, but it should be interesting. These were some interesting hot takes. If you have any hot takes, put it down in the comments below. Hey, thank you guys for watching this video. For more content like this, make sure to like the video. Tell me if you like these reaction videos. Tell me if you mess with them. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video. It's a road to 1,000, so make sure to subscribe as well. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.